Now, Sulaiman, that's precisely uh, the, the message we sent out yesterday. A strong warning that the law will take its course against any saboteur, whether they are masquerading as agitators or masquerading as unions.
Okay, while that comes on, earlier this morning we were talking about made in Nigeria goods. It's one point that most Nigerians are interested in. If you look on our website, so many comments on that. Is there a national policy from the government to help in strengthening made in Nigeria goods or products?
Well, I think the strongest indication of this government's support to made in Nigerian goods is this emphasis, one, on infrastructure. If you invest in infrastructure, you are going to improve the manufacturing climate. And once you include the manufacturing climate, you are going to encourage, encourage more goods to be made in Nigeria, and the consumption of the goods will increase. Another thing the government has done, I think, is removing on the list of goods that are eligible for foreign exchange to be imported in the country, goods that do not really really affect our daily livelihood, that are not critical to our livelihood. But the bottom line, in my view, is that we must get the economy back, must get people back to work, we must get the manufacturing industry and the real sector to be working. That is what is going to help. It's going to help the made in Nigeria, buy made in Nigeria advocacy.
You know, your ministry, you're the man in charge of culture and information, and some other agencies, perhaps like NOA, they just might be under your purview. Don't you think by now you should have a policy in place that will ultimately drive the made in Nigeria philosophy?
I think if you follow what the NOA is doing, especially in every state and in every local government, they are daily preaching the gospel of made in Nigeria goods. But we must first create an atmosphere where the industries will first come back to life, produce the goods for the people to consume.
In your offices and even during ESCO, how many of those made in Nigeria products or goods do you see? If we have to put a percentage on that, because Nigerians would love to know and say, perhaps this is an example from the government.
I can assure you that everything we consume, especially our refreshments, our lunch, they are all made in Nigeria.
Is that where it stops, Alhaji?
No, you're asking me what we do in what we consume at the ESCO, and I've answered you.
And it doesn't extend to what is worn to the ESCO, does it?
Well, you see,
just wondering.
I know you are coming to that. Some of us are wearing wardrobes that we have possessed in the last 10 years. We are not changing wardrobes. These wardrobes, what we are wearing, we own them more than 10 years ago, and we cannot throw them away.
Mm. Alhaji, you do know, I mean, now you're in government, and you're citing firsthand some of the things the challenges facing Nigeria. Would you say, with benefit of hindsight, that your party, the APC, was fair in its criticism of the past administration?
Absolutely.
Why do you say so? Because some of the challenges that they experienced, you're still experiencing.
Well, but then we are addressing them in a much more robust, in a much more positive way.
Give us an instance. Which one of them would you say you're addressing in a much more robust way? Because people think that you're using the same approach that they were using, and if they had more time, perhaps they would have been able to effectively solve.
That's not correct. Take the issue of the terrorism, the Boko Haram insurgency. Within 9 months, we have been able to decisively deal with Boko Haram insurgency. Within 9 months, we've been able to tackle courageously the vice, the corruption, the corruption vice.
Are you
And
saying then?
No, I'm not saying that. Of course, if there's no corruption again, the system will not be fighting it. The fight against corruption is continuous. But for the first time, we have a government that has the political will to face the monster.
Are you only looking at corruption at a certain level? Because for the average Nigerian, the experience of corruption, it still seems to be a way of life.
Well, you see, you must start fighting corruption from one place. We have decided to focus on the last administration, and we are focusing especially right now on what happened to the funds that was dedicated to fight the Boko Haram insurgency. From there, we go to other things. But like I always say, we do not micromanage the fight against corruption, but because we provide the leadership, the fight against corruption by the various anti-graft agencies is going much more smoothly than it used to before. But of course, I admit that we still have challenges, even in this crusade.
Could you tell us how much that the Commission, the EFCC, or the government has recovered so far from all of these cases?
The government is not in a position to declare how much it has made so far, because that would jeopardize, ongoing investigation. But in due course, Nigerians will be told exactly what has been recovered and from who.
Are they going to also tell us what they intend to do with the money?
Of course, any money recovered will be put back into the coffers of government, and Nigerians will know what will be
what about
what it will be used for.
There's questions too about I think they're bachelor loads. Many also wonder the ones that have been returned recently. Any figure to it, and where is it going to be channeled?
Well, if any Abacha loot has been recovered recently, I want to reassure Nigerians that that money will not be relooted.
That is why Chamberlain is asking if there's any way you can let us in on where that money is being or is intended to be channeled to.
Now, you see, one must ascertain what has been recovered, and then the government will decide what to be done with it, and the entire Nigerians would be informed about this.
Is there a way you think Nigerians can help the government in actualizing some of their manifestos and plans?
Oh yes, by cooperating with the government, by also joining the government in its crusade against corruption, by advocating and educating Nigerians on the ills of sabotaging facilities, and generally by being good citizens. That's all we require from Nigerians.
All right, Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information and Culture, thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you very much.
All right, and we will be back in a minute to have another matter in the burner today. Don't go.